The Economic Summit and International Business Forum, hosted by the Cedar City Chamber of Commerce, was held recently on the campus of Southern Utah University. The program included opening remarks by Cedar City Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Chris McCormick.
Well, we've got an exciting event today. We've got our governor coming down to talk to us. We've got Derek Miller from World Trade Center Utah coming down to talk to us. And then we have 3 pro-business talks. And so we have some entrepreneurs in town who have done some amazing things. And they're going to all speak about their businesses, what they've accomplished, and some of the challenges along the way and how they overcame those challenges. So it's going to be a really engaging event.
So there are plenty of opportunities for people to network, but also opportunities to get right down and talk with people who can answer specific questions about how to make your business work.
That's exactly right. The World Trade Center, U-Star, and several other people are here with their booths to help businesses understand a little bit more about how do they grow their businesses, how do they market internationally, how do they do things to help their businesses run more efficiently. So we have a lot of different things here to help business people.
The program continued with presentations from local business with roots in Cedar City and Iron County. The lunch program kicked off with presentations from Mike Green of Geo Green Enterprises, a Southern Utah plumbing company that has grown from a single building, single truck, and 1 employee to 28 stores and a successful internet company.
Really, the key to our success has been, more than anything, great people. People who, they were willing to work and work hard for a big goal. And I'm really appreciative of some of the people that I've had over the years that have had that mentality.
The next presentation was made by Brian Daly with Casino Game Maker. His company makes video games for gaming and has a strong presence in the Far East. In recent years, they have expanded to the U.S. and Utah. They explained that they were in part successful because of the large number of graduates from SUU. He went on to explain that they were well trained and had good work ethics and were assets to the company.
We have about 20 employees right now. The majority of those are either students or graduates of SUU. It's about 13 of those right now. And of the 30 people that have been actively working at our facility over the first 2.5 years, 20 of those have been directly related to SUU. So that's a great number for SUU, and it's been extremely successful for us to use the talent that's here in town.
Bobby Edwards' presentation was a true crowd pleaser with his company, Squatty Potty. His story of how the concept developed, his exposure on the TV show Shark Tank to his $19 million in sales in 1 year was a true local success.
The important thing, I think, is to set up a website that's rich in content that people are searching for. If you're a bed and breakfast in Springdale and you're looking to get German tourists, create a website that's rich that they can search you and find you. If you're trying to sell hay in Saudi Arabia, those people over there looking for hay are looking on the internet and they're trying to find you. So set up a website that people can find you, and that's really the basic thing.
The final presentation was made by Derek Miller with the World Trade Center Utah. He spoke about Southern Utah's global success and the impact of international trade in Utah. Many Utah businesses are doing more out-of-country business than in Utah and the U.S. The World Trade Center Utah also helps Utah business expand into international markets.
Consider just for a moment that 70% of economic growth occurs outside of the United States. 85% of consumption occurs outside of the United States, and 95% of consumers live outside of the United States. Success in the global marketplace takes vision and drive, and the same is true for Utah's economy. Utah's economy is the envy of the nation. High job growth, low unemployment, economic diversity. These things don't happen by chance, and they don't happen by coincidence.
Chris Holmes back at the Economic Summit and World Business Forum. And I'm speaking with Don Willey, who is with the Utah World Trade Center. World Trade Center might seem like kind of a nebulous term, but it's also a self-descriptive term. That really is what it's all about, isn't it?
It is, and Utah has a unique position with our World Trade Center. Even though it's an international network that we tap into, Utah is very unique for the size and position to actually have its very own World Trade Center.
What is it about Utah that makes it necessary for us to look out beyond the borders and the horizons of the state of Utah and the United States of America? We're an inland state. I think traditionally people have looked at the state of Utah as somewhat agricultural, even rural. But we're at a point in our development that it seems we need to look out beyond, don't we?
We definitely do. In all honesty, Utah has a tremendous business climate, so businesses are thriving here. But the problem we have is we only have so many customers that we can sell to. So in our case, 3 million customers. And if you look at the world population, we're a very, very small fraction of that, 0.04% in fact. So when we work with companies and we encourage them to go international, it's about helping them understand that there are customers outside of the United States that want their product and need their product. And they're willing to pay even a higher price sometimes to get it because it's a U.S. made product and even Utah made. There's a high demand for that. And so it's helping companies understand that because we have constraints in the number of people that can purchase products here, businesses, to be able to truly expand beyond where they're at, they need to look outward. They need to look out into the world and tap into those foreign markets. But our partner resources, the Governor's Office of Economic Development, the U.S. Commercial Service, we all work closely together to make sure that as a business goes abroad, they can go with confidence and safety, knowing that they can invest in a foreign marketplace and see a strong return in that investment.
The lunch session was concluded with an address by Utah Governor Gary Herbert.
I believe in working together. I believe in partnerships. I believe in team. I believe in working and collaborating, even in competition that we have amongst ourselves and businesses. I'd like to call it not competition, but co-opetition. We cooperate, we learn from each other, we compete, and by doing so, we in fact refine our business acumen and succeed.
Backcountry TV and Cherry Creek Media reporter Chris Holmes talked with the governor.
Well, I enjoy coming down. It's not a hard thing to convince me to come down and visit. I love rural Utah. It's one of the beautiful parts of our state, and certainly down here in the Cedar City area. So again, I love coming down, and I'll be back.
You know, even in our lifetimes, you and I are just young guys. Even in our lifetimes, we've seen Utah go from a somewhat irrelevant rural agricultural state to a state that is a leader in the nation, especially in terms of its economy. How has that come about?
Well, the culture of the people actually have allowed that to take place. We always have been a very industrious people. You know, our motto is industry. You know, the beehive state, busy like the bee. And we've always been a little bit more entrepreneurial. You know, when those early Mormon pioneers came to the Salt Lake Valley, they saw something that nobody else did. People were leaving to go to Oregon, California, Washington. They weren't staying in Utah. But those early pioneers said, hey, let's work together. We can make the desert blossom as a rose. What we see today economically and quality of life is really a continuation of that effort. We are seeing Utah blossom in all four corners of the state as the rose, and becoming really a good example of what you can accomplish if you work together that some of the rest of the country's kind of forgotten. Same principles of conservative government, traditional family values, the things that make us excel, really translate economically. And so again, it's not just a new beginning, it's something we've always had, but it's blossoming now in a time when we're becoming more noticeable, and really a good example of the country.
Life is good. It's a great place to live. The economy is good. Utah is a leader in the nation. Why is it important that Utah look out beyond that horizon for new opportunities of leadership?
Well, not only new opportunities of leadership, but new opportunities to market products and do business. Utah really is uniquely suited to not only do business here in the Intermountain West and throughout America, but internationally. We speak 130 languages here. We speak the world's languages. And as we've learned today in the conference, 95% of all the customers out there for any goods and products that we have to offer are outside the borders of America. So as we work for opportunities economically, you need to see the world. It's a global marketplace today, and we are uniquely suited to succeed in that global marketplace.
As we continue this process, what is the role of government in facilitating that?
Well, government provides rules and regulations to help us have level playing field so everybody has equal opportunity. That's the main purpose. It also has rules and regulations in place, laws that say I can't steal your products, I can't steal your intellectual property or your real property. So guidelines to keep us to have a civilized society where we can coordinate and cooperate. And so government has that role. We have some safety net issues to help those who are less fortunate, to give them a helping hand, to help them to help themselves. And so in that role, government has a unique role to play, and I think does so actually very well here in Utah. But a lot of it's getting government out of the way. Government, well intended as it may be, sometimes gets in the way of progress and success economically because they inhibit the ability for the entrepreneur to go out there and take the risk and get the reward. So government, in my mind, our phrase we use in the Herbert administration is, we want to keep government off your backs and out of your wallets.
We recognize that times of difficulty are times when you can look at yourself and ask yourself what you can do better, but times of prosperity lend that opportunity as well. What does Utah need to do better?
Well, times of prosperity give us opportunity to invest some of that prosperity into areas that we're deficient. For example, we put a lot of money into our transportation, our roads and highways and byways. You cannot have a very good quality of life and certainly not a successful economy if you can't get from one point to the next point, from point A to point B. So transportation, we've invested significant amounts of money, millions of dollars, to help us have a good transportation system. Secondly, our education, which we've underfunded for many, many years. We have a unique challenge in Utah because we have such a high birth rate, highest in the nation, and larger family sizes. But that student population continues to grow. And with our economic prosperity, we've been able to put more money back into education and larger amounts than we've ever done in the history of our state. $1.8 billion over the last 5 years. That's an investment in our children, which means that's an investment in our future. They are our seed corn. So we're going to continue to make that emphasis now as we continue to prosper. We want to put some of that prosperity back into education. Let's make our education system the best in America today, like we've already done making Utah's economy the best in America today.
Biggest challenge moving forward?
Yeah, the challenge we have moving forward is probably growth. People are discovering.
That's a nice challenge to have.
It is.
Better than the alternative.
Yeah, having people leave your state is not a good sign.
Yeah.
And we see that in many states around the country where I have a shrinking population. But in Utah, people like the quality of life. They've discovered Utah and say, this is a great place to live and to raise a family. We have people who have come here from other states and said, you couldn't pay me enough money to leave Utah. It's been such a great experience for them and for their families. So quality of life and economic opportunity. We have the best, most diverse economy in America today, and so people can find jobs. So our main thrust is to make sure that we provide for our own, for our rising generation, our children, our grandchildren. But people are discovering Utah is a great place to live and to do business. And so we're going to have a real challenge, I think, over the next decade or longer of growth. How can we accommodate the growth that's surely going to happen? And how can we do it without having any diminishment of quality of life and continue to expand the economy?
Thanks, Governor.
Thank you. Great to be with you. Great to be in Southern Utah.
The Economic Summit reconvened for an evening dinner with more presentations, awards, and recognition of Cedar City and Iron County business leaders. Danny Stewart, Economic Development Director of Cedar City, Iron County, kicked the evening off with an explanation of what's up Iron County.
Since the Economic Summit began several years ago, we've had a portion of the program called What's Up Iron County, and it gives those in attendance just a glimpse of some of the things that are going on in the community. If we look over the last 12 months, the face of Cedar City has changed dramatically, as you know, and we'll be hearing from some of those groups tonight. We've asked each of them to take 5 minutes and give us a brief update on some of the things that are going on with their businesses and organizations.
Could you give an example of some of those organizations?
We have Utah Shakespeare Festival, and they have really changed the economy here in Cedar City. If you try to imagine what this community would be without them today, it's hard to imagine what we would be. And so it will be exciting to hear about them on the completion of their first year in their new facilities. We'll also be hearing from a company called DecorWorks. A lot of people in Cedar City aren't familiar with them today. After today, everybody will be familiar with them and the things that they are doing. So we're really excited for those who are presenting tonight.
Scott Phillips with the Shakespeare Festival reported on the success of the new theater and the economic impact of the festival in Cedar City.
The Beverly Taylor Sorensen Center for the Arts, which opened this July 7th, as Danny mentioned, is a $40 million facility. We think it adds a great deal to the cultural climate of our community, along with, we hope, an economic factor as well. The latest studies we did about 3 years ago, there was about a $45 million economic impact, direct economic impact to the local community because of the tourists that come into our community and spend their time in the hotels, the motels. Well, I should say motels. We don't have any hotels. We're working on that, but we don't have any hotels yet. And spending time in our restaurants, eating and experiencing this great community. And we are honored to be part of Cedar City.
Darren Day reported on Intermountain Cedar City Hospital. He told of the new MRI machine and the expansion of the hospital with the newest state-of-the-art technology that rivals the equipment of hospitals in Salt Lake City.
The future's here. We're excited about it. We've got some really neat things happening at the hospital. We would like to invite you to come and see our new care suite. It should be up and running around the first of the year. We'll be in the new MRI itself in November, but it'll take till around the first of the year for us to get all of the electronics squared away and ready to go. And we would like to invite you to come and see it. Visit with us at the hospital. We can take you over and show you some of our cancer research, some of the great equipment that we have.
Southern Utah University's athletic director, Jason Butikofer, reported on the huge strides being made by the athletic department with the athletes and their success with academics and above average graduation rate.
Their average GPA of 3.2 exceeds that of the campus average GPA. So we're achieving at a high level there. We're graduating our student athletes at a high level. So we're excelling both academically and athletically. This past year on the field, we won a football Big Sky championship, which I think everybody in the community is probably aware of and remembers. We also won a Big Sky championship in cross country. In our 4 years of membership in the Big Sky Conference, that doubled the number of conference championships that we had.
State Bank of Southern Utah's Eric Schmutz talked about how the small local bank with branches in the smallest Utah communities had grown with the towns they served and had almost $1 billion in assets.
During your presentation, Eric, Brian Kumerick and I were commenting on how Cedar City has changed so much since 1957. And then the more I thought about it, the more I realized, but there's a lot of things that haven't changed at all, and that's really encouraging.
It is, Chris, and that's what we base our model after, is the fact that it's the people of Southern Utah that make the difference. It's the people's drive to succeed that makes their businesses successful, and that's what we thrive on. If they're successful, we are, and that model that was the same in 1957 as it is today is proven to be successful. So we're happy to be here.
We love to visit some of these small towns. Even though we live nearby, it's still great to drive through Orderville or through Kanab, some of these cities. Talk about your commitment and your continuing commitment to communities like that.
Well, we're very committed. You know, it's interesting, throughout the years, we think we like a community, but a community will approach us and say, we want you, we need you here, and we've responded to that. And what I'd said in the presentation earlier is true. We become the economic lifeblood of that community. And it's interesting to go to those small towns, because you go into the lobby and the people come in and they're there for a social experience almost. And the relationships that we build with the businesses and the people are just tremendous.
Jim Burgess from Safari Hospitality reported on their expansion into Cedar City with a major hotel expansion and development of shops and restaurants. DecorWorks closed out the business presentations with a video presentation from Shelley Dancy and Tania Wallace. Their business designs building interiors to make customers more comfortable with their surroundings and more likely to stop and shop longer. David Busk presented the International Awards and helped recognize the Champion for International Business Award and the Vanguard International Business Award. After Chris McCormick presented the Friend of the Chamber Award, it was time for the keynote speaker. Lane Beatty, the president and CEO of the Salt Lake City Chamber of Commerce, was the keynote speaker at the Economic Summit. He's been in the job for 13 years and has seen Utah businesses grow and thrive throughout his tenure as president and CEO.
It is truly an honor to be here. You know, a lot of speakers say that, but I want you to know I've never lived a day of my life. I've been here for days, but I haven't lived a day of my life in Iron County or in Cedar City. But I want you to know every time I have ever come here, I feel like I'm coming home. That's because of the quality of the people that live here. That is what is making a difference across this country, of where people today have an opportunity to live, work, learn, and play. It all has to do with the people.
His background was in real estate, but he also was a Utah state senator and served as a legislator for 12 years. Again, Backcountry TV and Cherry Creek media reporter Chris Holmes talked to Lane.
We're obviously doing some things right in Utah. We're in a good spot economically, and we find ourselves in the position of leading out in many categories. What are some of the challenges that come with that? It's kind of new territory for us in a way.
You know, the breadth of our economy is what is unique. Forbes magazine says one of the reasons why Utah is great is because we have a very broad-based economy, and what we mean by that is 40 years ago our economy was two parts, agriculture and mining, and that was it. That's where the strength of Utah came from. But now we have technology and literally the universities and aerospace and medical devices, and you look at everything that we have in the state of Utah, well, Cedar City has all of them right here. Today I just found out about some of the new medical devices that you have here at your hospital. Cancer research in Cedar City, Utah, that is state-of-the-art, people coming in from all over the world. And so when you look at that and you look at the strength, that means you've got to have people of a high intellect that want to come here to literally serve in those capacities, but also to grow here and be able to stay here. And so when you look at some of the challenges we've had in the past is a lot of our people had to move outside the state of Utah to get the jobs they wanted for their careers. And so now we're trying to bring a lot of those people back and remind them that the quality of life that they really had hoped for is still here, and that they can now be employed in those areas. And so businesses are really looking for the quality of employees, and that are employees with degrees in engineering and doctors and a lot of areas, but also in the trades. We need people who are trained in welding and 3-axis machines and where they can get a certificate and software that it doesn't take. We heard last 2 weeks ago a program that they're training in the company out at Kennecott Copper that people can start at $90,000 a year, and they do the training. Well, you know, everybody says, well, where's that? That's where I want to go. Well, you know, across the board, we're starting to see more and more opportunities where people can have a great career and stay at home and raise their family with the quality of life that all of us in Utah love.
After closing remarks by Chris McCormick, the summit was adjourned and everyone reported the summit as a huge success. The Cedar City Chamber of Commerce plans for another economic summit next year.